Welcome to the NoDQ.com live recap of Monday Night Raw for June the 28th, 2021. We're getting closer to the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. Shout out to everybody watching this, whether it's live or on demand. I appreciate your viewership and support as always. Let's go ahead and get started. We kicked off Raw with Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville. It was revealed that Randy Orton would not be competing in the triple threat last chance match to determine the final Raw participant in the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. That all is a mouthful. And as a result of that, it's going to be a battle royal with the winner entering the triple threat match. At this point, we had Matt Riddle appear. He had a handwritten letter from Randy. He said, "Aloha, Riddle is the coolest." Basically, that's what the letter said. And the letter recommended that Riddle take the spot. And there was a little viper, a snake, drawn in the corner of the letter. Now, of course, it was Riddle that put this letter together. Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville, they were no fools. But Riddle had a plan B. They did not buy the letter. Riddle said he'll take Randy's spot in the Battle Royal and try to earn the opportunity that way. Pearce and Sonya Deville did agree to that. So Matt Riddle entered this Battle Royal, which was basically all the guys that have nothing going on for them. We had a random return of Damian Priest, who reportedly was injured over the last couple of months. He just showed up in this Battle Royal. Riddle was the only guy that got an entrance for it. It was a lot of the guys that run around for the 24/7 title. And speaking of that, here I was thinking we were done with the 24/7 title concept, but nope, it's back. We had Drew Gulak being the first guy eliminated, and then on the outside of the ring, Gulak ended up pinning Tozawa, and I totally forgot Tozawa was the champion. Tozawa got pinned, making Gulak the new champion. But then R-Truth pinned Gulak, and then Tozawa pinned R-Truth and left with the championship. And I could not care about this in the slightest. We had Ali eliminating Mansoor, so at least they kept that storyline going, where Mansoor turned his back on Ali and Ali taught him a lesson. Jinder Mahal, former WWE champion, eliminated a couple of guys, but in the end, Priest eliminated Mahal. Cedric Alexander eliminated Jeff Hardy, keeping their storyline going. Cedric was mocking Jeff for being washed up, and then that's when Priest hit the lights to Cedric and eliminated him, and it was down to Priest and Riddle. Then went back and forth for a while, and Riddle ended up eliminating Priest to pick up the win, thus taking Orton's spot officially in the triple threat last chance Money in the Bank men's qualifying match. And by the way, just wanted to say happy birthday to Walter in the chat room. You have the same birthday as my soon-to-be mother-in-law. So, again, happy birthday to you. And after this match was over, we had the music play for Matt Riddle, except he did not want his music. He wanted the music of Randy Orton, and that's what we got. Randy Orton's music played, and we even got the pyro, which caught him off guard. He was not expecting the pyro of Randy Orton to go off. We had Alexa Bliss, a recap of her storyline with Shayna Baszler, and Shayna Baszler was messing around with a deck of cards, I guess, to let everybody know symbolically she's still playing with a full deck, or was she? Nia Jax confronted her, wanting to know what's up with their team, and Reginald said the whole thing with him being hypnotized last week, he did not do any of that stuff on purpose, and Shayna vowed to give Alexa Bliss a permanent timeout like the doll Lily. And then they walked off, and we saw in the background that Alexa Bliss was watching. We had an interview with AJ Styles and Omos. And by the way, I forgot to mention during the Battle Royal, the Viking Raiders were in it, and they were eliminated by Otis, who was not in the match. I guess technically Jinder Mahal did it, but basically Omos pulled them out. And Omos was asked, well, he wasn't asked, AJ was asked. Omos chimed in and said that he was just scouting out the competition, but Styles was talking about how last week the Viking Raiders got involved in his match, and he said that in this match, this triple threat match, he is going to have the advantage because the other guys are not at 100%. And we had an interview with Nikki Cross with her new superhero gimmick, just talking about how she wants to be an inspiration for little boys and girls, and her goal is to be almost a superhero. And I guess her new moniker is Almost a Superhero, or Ash, Nikki Ash. Kind of like Rosie was the shit, but that was a little bit funnier. Anyways, my notes here, I wrote, music sucks. Not a fan of her entrance music, and she's been through like 3 or 4 of them. It sounds like any of you that have done video editing and you use a website or a program that has royalty-free music, this is what it sounded like. It sounded like some kind of cheap, generic royalty-free music that they used for Nikki Cross instead of, something that is a lot more memorable. So we had this match, which was interesting here because we had more outside interference. It was Shayna Baszler versus Nikki Ash, or Nikki Cross, whatever. And, of course, to nobody's surprise, Alexa Bliss showed up. Nikki took advantage of a distraction and did a dive onto all 3, Reginald, Shayna, and Nia Jax. And then after the commercial, Alexa Bliss hypnotized Nia and ended up taking down both Nia and Reginald. And Nikki in the ring rolled up Shayna, but Shayna kicked out. And then Nikki, with a llama straw cradle, again beat Shayna Baszler again. And I know Big G somewhere is just having a really tough time, but can't say I'm surprised at this point. I've been saying this for weeks now with Shayna Baszler. They've given up on her, and I'm not sure where you go with her from here. Nikki wins. I wish she had better music. I would be more open to give this character a chance if I actually liked the music. Elon Brown says, did Lily get released in the last set of cuts? She might have. I mean, after the bad reaction to that one segment with Shayna, she's been in timeout ever since. But like the 24/7 title, you never know when it might come back. And somebody's like, hey, I got an idea. Let's do this. And all of a sudden we have it back. Darren says, I like Nikki, but is it me or are her promos really dragging? Yeah, I mean, it very much feels like a knockoff of the Hurricane, but I guess it's a little different because Nikki's trying to be a role model, and it's not exactly meant to be a heel character, which Hurricane Helms was at first, Hurricane Helms was initially a heel character, and then he turned babyface. Hamp Connor with a $2 super chat says, I never made the shit connection until now. Wow, that surprises me. And he did the mind blown emoji. Yeah, superhero in training. Kind of like the Saskatchewan Hardcore Invitational title, which was once held by Lance Storm in WCW. So even Rosie's gimmick was not original as far as the acronym goes. We had a recap of the Raw Hell in a Cell match from last week. We had this Kofi Kingston and MVP face-off. Kofi came to the ring first. He said that people have been disrespecting Xavier Woods for a long time, and people need to put some respect on the name of Xavier Woods. Xavier Woods showed the world what kind of a competitor he was in that Hell in a Cell match. He's going to make Bobby Lashley pay at Money in the Bank. That's when MVP arrived and said that Kofi is saying all these ridiculous things and they're already looking past him. Kofi is no threat to the almighty Bobby Lashley. And MVP said what Brock Lesnar did to Kofi will look like child's play. Kofi responded by saying that, Bobby's getting a little soft. Bobby barely beat Drew McIntyre. He barely beat Xavier Woods. And hell, Kofi beat Bobby on Raw a couple of weeks ago. MVP replied by saying that Bobby actually earned his spot at the top. And Kofi said that the same thing applied to him. He also earned his top spot. And unlike Bobby, he traveled around the world as champion. While Bobby's taking vacations as champion, Kofi was a guy that was just going all over the place and then would come back on Raw the next week to defend his championship. And Kofi said that Bobby's been taking his eye off the prize, and that's how he's going to lose the prize at the pay-per-view. And MVP said that Xavier Woods could not even make it to work this week. And Kofi said Xavier will be back next week. And while he's coming back, MVP's been milking a knee injury for 6 months and said that, MVP said that he would whoop Kofi's ass in a heartbeat if he wasn't injured. And that's when Kofi ran out of the ring and attacked MVP, hit him with the tip, the Trouble in Paradise. And yeah, this was a pretty long talking segment. Took me a while to recap all that. But basically, Kofi's going to beat up Bobby Lashley and Xavier Woods is coming back. They did announce next week that it will be Xavier Woods versus Bobby Lashley in a rematch. So, typical Raw with the rematches. Walter Cruz with a $3 super chat. Thank you for that. Says, for some reason, I see Xavier Woods turning on Kofi. I don't think it's going to happen. I really don't. I am not expecting a New Day breakup, like a legitimate breakup. I think they're going to be the one group that never breaks up. But then again, I did not think a Roman Reigns heel turn was going to happen, and it did. Matt sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you, Matt. Says, who should feud with the Fiend when he comes back? I mean, unfortunately, I don't care about the Fiend anymore, so nobody. Like, I really have no interest in seeing the Fiend wrestle. That's how much they've botched the character for me. I really hate to say it, but like I can't think of any feud I want to see the Fiend in at this point. Like, nothing. Chat room, what do you think? Any ideas? I seriously don't care at this point. And I've just given up on the character. They might as well cut him loose because I don't care. Or totally repackage him as a different character. Next up, we had the latest from Eva Marie and Doudrop. And a brief promo was given by Eva, said that Doudrop made a rookie mistake last week, and Eva requested a rematch against Naomi and Asuka. which we got. And basically, Doudrop did all the work, and she got in trouble for a little bit. She went for a tag, and surprise, surprise, Eva Marie got off the apron, refused to tag. However, Doudrop still managed to pick up the victory with a crossbody to Asuka. So yes, Doudrop pinned Asuka. Asuka losing. This match went like 2 to 3 minutes. I feel bad for Asuka, but yeah, she's on the way down now. I mean, it was inevitable when she lost the title, and they're trying to build up Doudrop. This was a pretty big win for her. She's in a comedy act right now, but they gave her this win, basically beating Asuka and Naomi in a handicap match. So there you go. And Curtis Butler says Doudrop landed hard on Asuka's back. And Matt Helms said, just bring back Bray Wyatt as his old self. I mean, yeah, they gotta do something different with Bray at this point. Like, where can you go with the Fiend from here? And Darren says, hey Aaron, how about the Fiend versus Aleister Black if he comes back? Well, I would not get your hopes up about that one. I would be surprised to see that one. We had The Miz and John Morrison with a backstage promo. And Ricochet ended up hijacking the promo. He stole John Morrison's drip stick and started spraying both of them with it. And that led to a match between Ricochet and Morrison. And by the way, Eva Marie did proclaim herself the winner of that match. So she did nothing but continues to do that gimmick where she acts like she's a big shot. So we had Morrison versus Ricochet, which was actually an interesting match because Ricochet brought his A game on this show. I mean, he always does. It's just that it's hard to care about him with the way he's been booked. And you got Psycho Jet Black, who's actually not here in the chat room, it seems. Maybe he'll show up. But Ricochet was over here. Ricochet, he did a Hurricane Rana coming off of The Miz's wheelchair. The Miz was there at ringside doing commentary, and Ricochet jumped off the wheelchair and did a Hurricane Rana to Morrison. But then the really impressive thing that he did was this, he got on the top rope and did this flying crossbody. Morrison was sitting on the barricade, and Ricochet did this flying crossbody, sending both of them over the barricade onto a crash pad, of course, but we didn't see it, and the camera angle was good. But it was a badass move from Ricochet. You know, he just flew all the way down, taking out Morrison. And the impact of the move was so great that Ricochet could not even get back into the ring. Both guys were counted out, but you know what? I buy it. With that kind of move, yeah, that would take out both guys. So yeah, really good segment here, and Ricochet is starting to elevate back up again. Psycho Jet Black cannot even show his face in the chat room because Ricochet's starting to get over again. Elon Brown thinks Ricochet will be back in catering after Money in the Bank. And Matt says, why doesn't Ricochet wear wrestling tights anymore? Well, he said in an interview that he's basically, as part of his rebuilding, he's going back to square one with the street clothes, and that's part of him building himself back up. Walter Cruz sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you, Walter. Says, how dumb is the writing when a drip stick gets more airtime than talented superstars? WWE Logic released superstars but put water guns on my TV. It's for the kids, Walter. You're watching a kids show. It's meant to get a pop from the kids. You know, the kids watching at home, they're going to laugh. They're going to jump up and down when The Miz gets sprayed with a water bottle. It's just the way it is. That's what WWE is going with those types of segments, trying to get a pop from the kids. We had Charlotte Flair giving a pep talk to Natalya and Tamina about family legacy, and they had a 6-woman match against Rhea Ripley, Mandy Rose, and Dana Brooke. And they quickly got into a fight before the bell even rang to start the match. Heels dominated for a while. Pretty standard stuff here. things broke down again at the end. And then Charlotte pinned Mandy with a big boot. So yes, you know you're low on the totem pole in WWE when you lose to a big boot and not the natural selection or the figure eight or whatever. And after the match, Rhea Ripley, who was on the babyface team for this match, took a cheap shot, giving a chop block to Charlotte after the match. I still really do not care about this feud. We had R-Truth backstage with Jackson Ryker. Ryker was whipping himself with the strap. He had a strap match against Elias. And R-Truth was just making some jokes, the usual comedy. And Ryker totally no-sold it. We then had Elias versus Ryker in a strap match. Not a Yappa Pie Indian strap match, Jack, but just a regular strap match. Elias has new music, which I don't understand why there was a change. Elias had his own song with his own vocals, Amen, and they got rid of it. They gave Elias some generic song, like the fifth song he's had in the past 4 or 5 years since debuting on the main roster. Like, seriously? What was wrong with his own song? Like, you can't do any better than his own song. That was dumb. Another stock. It sounds like stock music. I agree with Curtis Butler. So anyways, the strap match, they're trying to make something out of Jackson Ryker. Jackson has new music, by the way, They're pushing him. They're giving him new music. I still don't care about him. And they whipped each other a little bit. It was nothing. It was like a 3-minute match. Elias eventually got beat by Ryker. So Ryker continues his push, and I don't really care, but they're trying to do something with the guy. I'll give them that. They're at least pushing a guy, but don't think it's going to go anywhere. We had our backstage segment with Damian Priest praising Matt Riddle for the Battle Royal win. And Riddle responded by saying he's not Riddle. He's Randy Orton. And Priest said, well, he's looking for Riddle because he was going to go to Burger King and get some burgers. At that point, Riddle turned back into himself, and then Priest said he knew Riddle was Riddle all along, and Randy Orton needs to realize that he's the lucky one to have Riddle as a friend. And before the main event, we had Drew McIntyre cut a promo with another story. I'm so tired of these stories that he does every week. Like, are they trying to turn Drew McIntyre heel? I don't know, but they're so annoying. I am not a fan of these stories. We had our main event triple threat match because Randy Orton was not there. And by the way, they never gave any reason as to why he wasn't there. He just wasn't there. And this main event was pretty awesome. They actually went like a solid final half hour of Raw, which is pretty rare. They usually do not go that long for a main event match or any match period, unless it's like a gauntlet match or something. In fact, as soon as they started this, like around 10:30, I'm thinking to myself, are they going to do some kind of screwy finish and then do another match afterwards? But they actually went the whole way, the whole final 30 minutes with this main event match. And they went all over the place. It's no DQ in a triple threat, so they brawled on the outside, and you had Riddle and Styles working together. They slammed McIntyre through the announce table, taking him out for a while. They went after each other. Styles went after Riddle's leg. And then Styles went to the outside and took down Drew as Drew was starting to recover. I actually like that they did that, because a lot of times the guy's just laying out there dead for the longest time. But Styles actually went out there and beat down McIntyre some more. And Styles had Riddle in a submission. Riddle got to the rope, but there's no rope break in a triple threat, so Riddle had to kick himself out. And then Riddle started to make a comeback as Randy Orton, doing the draping DDT and so forth. Then they all ended up on the outside of the ring again. Riddle went for a kick, but he hit the steel steps, and he told the referee he thought he broke his leg. The officials came down to check on Riddle. They carried him to the back. Riddle was all upset, saying that he didn't want to let his friend down. And back after the commercial break, it was just Styles and McIntyre, the two of them. Styles got the calf crusher on. Riddle then returned, to nobody's surprise. I mean, this is what they always do in these matches. Riddle returned. His leg was taped up. He got the bro mission on Styles. And then he hit the RKO out of nowhere. However, Omos saved AJ Styles from getting pinned. And then you had McIntyre hit Riddle with the Claymore to pick up the victory and secure his spot in Money in the Bank. So, yeah, Drew McIntyre wins. He's added to Money in the Bank. Raw went off the air, and main event was really good. And I agree with Elon Brown. Riddle looked like a star tonight. They really did a lot with Riddle on this show, booking him strongly. And, you know, what a guy, you know, going all out for his buddy Randy Orton, even though in the end, Randy Orton's probably going to turn on him. Although I like the idea of Riddle turning. Like, imagine, you know, Randy Orton still doesn't respect Riddle after all that, and then Riddle is the one who snaps and turns against Randy Orton. Matt says Riddle needs to win the contract after this performance. And Darren says, badass Riddle. He said, badass Riddle looked great. I hope he goes that route in the near future. And as far as letter grade goes, like, Raw wasn't too bad. It was kind of boring at times, but I really did enjoy the main event. And there were a few things I liked on the show. So, you know, I'm thinking B-, C+, somewhere in that range. I'll probably go with a B- because the main event was really good. But other than that, like, there wasn't too much to really be all that excited for. Again, it's a lame duck show. Now, let's see what you guys thought. CC Drink B-, Biblical Adrian with a C, Mike Nixon B-, Mike B with a C, Walter Cruz with a B, Nathan Washington with a B+, and the Game is on 100 with a C+. I mean, it was really the Matt Riddle show this week. So if you're a Matt Riddle fan, you'll definitely like this episode of Raw. Game is on 100 gives it a C+. Matt Helms with a B-. Elon Brown says C-, get Riddle out of the title picture. And DJW left a very generous $20 super chat. Thank you for that. Says, what's up, Aaron? Since John Cena's return is pretty much a lock, what do you think of a Cena heel turn? He plays a heel already in the new F9 movie, and I feel like there are more babyface opponents for him to face than heel. I don't think John Cena's turning heel. I don't think there's a need to do it if he's only coming back for the occasional match. I'll say this, if John Cena was going to come back and wrestle full time, then I'd consider it. But he's probably only coming back for 1 or 2 matches a year. After SummerSlam, I don't think we're going to see him again until maybe WrestleMania. And who knows if he'll even do that. I think John Cena will come back for a couple matches a year. He's going to be, you know, a part-timer at this point. And because of that, I think there's no good reason to have him be a heel. He's going to come back and he's going to get the nostalgia pop. People aren't really going to boo the guy. They might do the John Cena sucks sing-along, but it's out of love. You know, Cena's a nostalgia act at this point. He's doing Hollywood. Fast and Furious 9 did huge box office. He's going to get more movie roles. You know, it's fine. He doesn't need to turn heel. Reigns did. And the key here is to use Cena to help elevate Reigns even more as a heel. That's what they need to focus on, not so much turning Cena heel and making him the focal point when he's a part-timer. So, you know, the ship sailed on that a long time ago. Should have been done, 2011, 2012, before Cena winded down his full-time career. Darren says, hey, Aaron, if Riddle turned heel and you were in charge, how would you make his heel outfit and music? Well, I'm neither a professional musician nor a fashion designer, so hard for me to answer that question, Darren. And that's the problem. Like, if you turn him heel, I suppose you got to change his music. And I like his music right now. I think changing his music would probably be a big downgrade. Anyways, guys, that's all I got for tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the Raw recap. Stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the latest. You can hear the new music from Elias over at NoDQ.com. Leave your comments. Every post on NoDQ has a comment section. Let me know what you think. Take care, everybody. Enjoy your week, and I will see you